Hi everyone, welcome back to Mastering Anesthesia. Today we are going to talk about a daunting topic in anesthesia pharmacology, hepatic clearance. We truly understand that this is considerably a heavy topic. However, we'll make it simple, we'll break down the core concepts, we'll make sense of the difficult equations, and don't worry, we'll help you out with simple analogies and visual help. Before anything, I would like to get something super clear, and that is hepatic clearance is not the same as hepatic extraction ratio. Many confusions from this topic comes from people assuming that hepatic clearance is equal to hepatic extraction ratio when they are not one and the same. We'll get into the definitions and clarifications further down in the video. So let's get into it. What is hepatic clearance? It is the volume of blood from which a drug is completely removed by the action in the liver per unit time. So take note of the keywords here. It is the volume of blood which a drug is completely removed in a given time. And there is only three major determinants that determine the rate of hepatic clearance. Number one comes from, how efficient is the drug being removed from the blood. Number two is about how efficient drug is delivered to the liver by the blood. And number three, when the drug arrives at the liver, are the drugs accessible to be processed? So factor number one regarding the efficiency of drug removal from the blood refers to the hepatic extraction ratio. Number two, the efficiency of blood delivered to the liver refers to the hepatic blood flow. Number three, when we're talking about accessibility of the drugs, we are talking about proportion of unbound drug in the blood, which are not bound to albumin. Therefore, hepatic clearance can be expressed by the following equation. Hepatic clearance is equal to hepatic blood flow times by fraction of unbound drug times by intrinsic clearance divided by hepatic blood flow plus fraction of unbound drug times intrinsic clearance. Let's write those down clearly. CLH is hepatic clearance, QH is hepatic blood flow, FU is fraction of unbound drug in the plasma. CLINT refers to the intrinsic clearance, which is enzyme activity. Now let's take a step back and look at the equation as a bigger picture. We have the hepatic clearance is equal to the blood flow times everything here is the extraction ratio. So hepatic clearance is equal to blood flow times extraction ratio. Remember our discussion earlier regarding the factors determining the hepatic clearance. Here is represented as an equation, and fraction of unbound drug is embedded inside the extraction ratio. Now diving in slowly into the definition of individual terms here. So we have number one, the hepatic extraction ratio. It is defined as the fraction of the drug in the blood entering the liver, which is irreversibly removed or extracted during one pass of the blood through the liver. In equation, it is expressed as fraction of unbound drug times with intrinsic clearance divided by hepatic blood flow plus unbound fraction of the drug times intrinsic clearance. And again, we're highlighting the same thing. The important factor affecting hepatic clearance is fraction of unbound drug as well as intrinsic clearance, as shown obviously in the equation. Next, the definition of intrinsic clearance. It is the ability of the liver to remove or metabolize the drug without restrictions imposed on drug delivery to the liver cell by blood flow and protein binding. Quite a mouthful, I know. In much simpler terms, it is the raw metabolizing power of the hepatocytes in metabolizing drugs without considering even anything related to blood flow or protein binding. It is the pure metabolizing power of the hepatocytes. So, what it means when an intrinsic clearance of a drug is high, it means that its metabolism by the liver is only limited by hepatic blood flow. But in another scenario, if the intrinsic clearance of a drug is low, it is only limited by its own, i.e., useless enzymes, hence it is enzyme limited. So whatever hepatic blood flow that is provided won't make any difference because the enzyme itself to begin with is already, like I say, useless. Intrinsic clearance can be expressed in the following equation. So intrinsic clearance is equal to Vmax over Km, where Vmax is equal to maximal rate of enzymatic reaction, and Km is actually the Michaelis-Menten dissociation constant of the enzyme, where it is the concentration required to achieve 50% of the maximal reaction time. Okay, so thus far, this topic has been nothing but massive words and equations. So I'm going to provide with a simple explanation and analogies to make things very simple and easier to understand. So when we're talking about hepatic clearance, think of the liver as a factory processing drugs. Components important in this discussion are blood, liver, and enzymes. Blood can be depicted as truck carrying drugs. Liver can be portrayed as factory processing the drugs, and enzymes refer to the workers inside the factory. So blood with drugs goes to the liver and gets processed by the enzymes, will represent hepatic clearance of the blood from the drugs. So in equal terms, the trucks carrying drugs to the factory gets processed by the workers, so the drugs will get destroyed. So let's use this analogy to visualize certain scenarios with the drugs. So situation A is we have a drug with high extraction ratio. In this scenario, we have a factory that is super efficient. Every truck that arrives at the factory will be processed. So regarding processing, it will not be about the worker's problem because the worker and factory is super efficient. What will be the problem is how many trucks arrive to be processed. So we depict the situation with a very high-end, very massive factory with super efficient workers. So the problem here is even if only 8 trucks arrive, only these 8 trucks will be processed. So it is hepatic blood flow limited. Let's take situation B for contrast. We have a low extraction ratio drug. The factory in this case will be slow or limited. Many trucks arrive, but the workers can only handle a few. So we depict the scenario here with a factory which is far smaller and limited. So depicted here is a small, cute factory. Okay, so in low extraction ratio drugs, the problem is never about the delivery. The problem starts with the worker capacity to begin with. So it is enzyme limited. So regardless of how many trucks you deliver to the factory, it is the worker capacity putting a cap at how many drugs can be processed. So clearance of low extraction ratio drugs depends on the enzyme activity or worker capacity and free unbound drug. These are the factors that will help in clearing low extraction ratio drugs. Alright, so when we're talking about free unbound drugs, imagine the drugs are locked in the trucks. So when they are locked in the truck, meaning they are bound to proteins, they won't get processed. So these drugs, when they are unloaded, when they are not bound to albumin, it is where it is free and accessible for the liver to process them. So the more free unbound drugs in the plasma, the higher it will get processed by the hepatocytes.
Thank you for watching. If you find these videos helpful, please hit the like and subscribe button to show your support. Comment down below what topic you want us to cover next. Till next time, see you in the next video.